What is going on, friends? Matt Carter coming at you with a video today, going over something that's an interesting topic for people who are looking in the market, maybe in the mid to higher price points, and something to consider if you are searching for a home right now, and that is new builds. So today I'm going to be going over some of the key differences between purchasing a new build as opposed to purchasing a more traditional resale property that you see on the market most of the time. So if you're new here or you haven't done it already, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to my content, and make sure you hit that little bell next to the subscribe button to ensure that you get notified for any of my videos that come up in the future. All right, so let's dive into it. And just to go over some ground rules, these are some common areas and that may be pros and cons or advantages and disadvantages between a resale and a new build. And again, it's all very specific to your own needs and what you are looking for in a property. Some of these things may not apply to you, but they are generally the most common things we run into when looking to purchase a new property with clients. So starting with a resale property, which is a more traditional way of what you may expect to see on the market. Most of the properties on MLS on realtor.ca are resale properties, meaning that they have been lived in before and they were built maybe many years ago. So one of the big things that you will probably run into, and an advantage if you're looking for it, is you could get some character in a home that you're looking for. Now, traditionally what you'll see is you're going to get a little bit more character in homes that everybody would deem a century home. So homes that are about 100 years plus, but you could still get some of that character in homes that are less than 100 years old, and maybe some just different quirks and different things that you may be looking for in a house in those older houses. So for example, of some character homes, especially in the London area here, we have a lot of yellow brick homes. A lot of these houses also have great architectural features such as archways, window transoms above the doorways, and just a variety of other features that people may be looking for in a house and give it a little more of that charm that you're looking for. Next thing that's kind of an advantage that people are looking for is older homes tend to have larger lots and therefore larger yards. So looking in the backyards of a lot of properties that are 20 plus years old, built on a little bit bigger lots, and that's mainly because over the years land has become more of a premium and the prices have gone up. So when houses are being built nowadays, they're putting houses a little bit closer together. You're not necessarily getting that lot depth that you did, maybe 50 to 100 years ago, especially. Another great thing about buying a resale property is you're buying in an established neighborhood. So what this means is a lot of the area, and there'll be a lot of development around that area, a lot to do with, the vegetation as well. So you're going to have mature trees, a lot of those picturesque boulevards with trees fully grown on the end of everybody's property, and just overall a nice, warming, inviting feeling into a neighborhood that many people may enjoy for themselves and their families. One last major advantage that people are going to find in buying a resale home is location. Generally speaking, older homes are built more central into the city, which for many people, maybe not everybody, maybe not you, but for many people, that's more advantageous in terms of getting downtown, getting to major shopping centers, grocery stores, and close proximity if you enjoy nightlife and things of that nature. So usually those older homes, cities build from the inside out and then start growing up. So you're going to find a lot more centrally located homes that are a little bit older as opposed to newer build homes. So onto the disadvantages of a resale home. Generally speaking, resales are going to need more maintenance required on the house. Components of the home and just the overall age of everything, just wear and tear of a house takes a toll, and you're going to probably need to replace some items in that house, whether that's going to be your major components such as your furnace, your AC, your roof, or it's going to be more expensive in comprehensive things such as in century homes where you're going to need to update the wiring and possibly the plumbing. And that can get quite pricey. So with resale homes, you generally are going to have to put a little bit more money into it to maintain it over the years, or to do those upgrades to modernize that home as well. The next major disadvantage of buying a resale property is, generally speaking, older homes were smaller. So a lot of times when you're looking at those homes that are, going on the century mark, a lot of the space wasn't necessarily what it is today. And homes were more of a place you went to, at the end of work day, you went there to have your dinner, just relax a bit, and then go to bed at night. So people didn't put as much money into the space in their house as they are today. So therefore, you're going to have a little bit smaller square footage in your house, and going along with that is you might not have as much storage in your house as well. A lot of older homes, you'll find if you're looking around at them, you want that character. A lot of those bedrooms even won't have closets, which nowadays it's building code and they need to be included to be considered a bedroom. But back in the day, codes have changed over the years, and you won't necessarily have a closet in your bedroom. So that lack of space for not only your closets, but basement space in terms of storage and usable space even in your basement may be lacking in a resale home if you're purchasing, a little bit older home on the century side of things. Lastly, my final disadvantage of buying a resale is possibly you could be paying more money than if you were to build new. Now, this does sound kind of counterintuitive because, you figure a new house, it's going to be a lot more expensive for all new components. But going back to a previous thing that I spoke about in terms of the location, you may be paying a premium for being in an ideal location in the city, whether it's downtown or just in a very developed, well sought after neighborhood of a city. In London, you look at areas such as Wortley Village, Old North, Byron, all very highly desirable areas. But, Wortley and Old North were part of the original portions of the city, so have a lot of older homes. So you're definitely paying for that premium of being centrally located, close to a lot of, great schools, great neighborhoods, and just close to everything that you will need in a house. All right, moving on to the new builds. And a lot of these you're going to say it's just going to be the inverse of everything I've talked about, but I'll bring up a couple other things too. So right off the bat, a new build, it is going to be the opposite of what I spoke about. You're going to have very low maintenance for your house. Everything in your house is going to be brand spanking new, and you won't have to worry about replacing any components in the near future, such as your furnace, your AC, that roof, or doing any major remodels, assuming that you put everything in the house that you wanted to originally. So you're definitely going to save in the maintenance cost for the next few years as you live in that house until, that 15 to 20 year mark comes up when all those major components will start to come around and you'll need to start replacing them. Not only will all your components be new, but there are warranties on new builds in the city and the province of Ontario. So you're going to have your builder warranty as well as, Terrian warranties as well, which you can look up on your own. Just Google Terrian warranty and you can look up all the information regarding that. So major components, if there are any defects within your first few years in the house, depending on the component, it varies. That's going to be covered by either the builder or the Terrian warranty, which will allow you to replace or repair whatever the issue is at no cost or a reduced cost to you, depending on what the component is. Another great thing with the new builds is as the building codes have changed over the years and technology has advanced as well, you're going to get a lot more energy efficient components within your house. So, windows, doors, furnaces, air conditioners, there's heat exchangers. So you're going to have a lot of energy saving components in your home, which in turn are going to give you a return in value on your energy bills. So you're going to be saving in electrical bills. A lot more homes these days are hooked up to gas. So gas is a cheaper alternative to electricity. So just all these components coming in is going to save you a ton of money on your hydro bills going down the line. So lastly, rounding out our pros of new builds, you're going to have a lot of modern conveniences. And what I mean by that is you're going to have everything that is, can be cutting edge, trendy for the time. You're going to have the possibility to have open floor plans, which you don't really see a lot in older homes. It's a much more common thing these days in builds. And also, possibly, depending on your situation, you may get to even customize your home. So depending on where you've purchased the new home along the phases, if you purchased from scratch or you bought a model home, you may be able to customize that floor plan depending on the options that the builder has in order to best suit your lifestyle. This could come along with, extra space for an office, upstairs laundry, you name it. There's a bunch of different things that you can do in a house, especially when you get free range to customize from the ground up. So with every pro, there is a con. So moving on to the disadvantages of new builds. And one of the big ones that a lot of people say is a lot of new builds look cookie cutter. You go into a new neighborhood, you're gonna have a lot of homes that look the exact same. So most builders have a couple of different options in terms of models. So you'll get to play with that. They might have 3 or 5 different models that you can choose from, and then different finishes on that. But still, a lot of those homes are going to be the same model, very similar floor plans, except if you get to customize and completely have a custom home, which would be awesome, but that's a little bit of a different story. So very similar homes that you're going to find in the same subdivision. Next one, and this kind of goes back to depending on where you've purchased during the phase of a new development, is you may be living through a lot of construction. So if you've bought from day one of a new development, you've moved in, chances are that neighborhood is going to be undergoing construction and development for the next 5 years possibly. So you need to be prepared to live through construction possibly for the foreseeable future while the neighborhood develops and grows around you. Now, this can also kind of turn into a plus because it does usually turn into an increased value on your home once the development is all said and done. But definitely a drawback to be living through construction day after day. The next disadvantage, and it kind of falls back on what I was talking about in resales, is the location. Generally speaking, new builds are built further away from the core of the city. That's just because that's where there is more land to build on. Now, that's not to say that there aren't infill projects happening within the city, but generally speaking, infill projects are higher density, mid to high density new construction in the city. So if you're looking for a new build that is a freehold home, single family residence, detached house, a lot of those subdivisions are going to be further outside the city, which in turn you're going to be further commute possibly from where you're working and from a lot of amenities potentially. Also, something to note is a lot of the times schools aren't built right away in subdivisions. They generally require a certain number of population and homes in the area to build a new school. So you may also have to look into where your kids are going to go to school if you move to a new build location further outside the city. So the last disadvantage I'm going to talk about of new builds today is it's generally a longer closing period for a new build as opposed to a resale property. So most resale properties, general turnaround is anywhere from 30 to 45, 60 days, whereas new build, you could be looking at months down the line, depending on, again, where you pick it up in the phase of that development. Sometimes new builds, it could be 6 to 8 months before you'll be moving in, and there's always the potential for delays in the new build because of contractors and supply and demand as well on those building materials. So these are just a few differences between a resale and a new build home, some of the pros, some of the cons, and by no means is this list exhaustive. There is a ton of different factors that come into play when you are looking to purchase a new home. So let me know what you think below. Let me know if you would prefer a new build or a resale, and if you've bought new in the past and what your experience has been. So I hope this can help you out if you are looking to make a move and are considering the differences between building a new house as well as purchasing a resale. And if you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always happy to help. And before you go, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that little bell to get notified for all my videos that come up in the future. And until then, take care.